The flickering light from the kerosene lamp cast shadows across her weary face as she stared up at him. Rebecca Lawson, 46 and widowed for 3 harsh winters, felt a spark she thought had been buried with her husband. The stranger in her doorway was bleeding, his flannel shirt ripped from a shallow knife wound, snow dripping from his wide shoulders onto the creaky farmhouse floor. "Please," he rasped, his voice like sandpaper. "My truck's stuck in the drift. Just need a place till dawn." She should have slammed the door a woman alone on a remote Montana ranch, miles from the nearest neighbor, inviting trouble from a man she'd never laid eyes on. But something in his gaze, not just pain, something raw and familiar, made her hesitate. Ethan Blake stepped inside, and the howling wind sealed the door behind him. Neither could have guessed that in 48 hours, everything would shatter. Forbidden passion igniting in the frozen plains, buried secrets exploding like a prairie fire, threatening to consume them both. What happens when a mother's frozen heart crashes into a drifter's haunted past? Buckle up, this ride's about to get wild. Rebecca's fingers trembled as she warmed water on the wood stove, not from the biting cold she'd grown numb to in Montana's endless winters. It was in the way he filled her tiny kitchen like he'd always been there, chasing away shadows that had clung to her for too long. "Shirt off," she said, avoiding his eyes. "That cut needs tending." Ethan paused, then peeled away the blood-soaked cloth. Rebecca's breath hitched. His torso was a battlefield of scars, faded stab marks, burn lines from a life on the edge. But it was his stormy gray eyes that unraveled her, watching with an intensity that made her feel desired, not just pitted as the town widow. "You out here by yourself?" he asked while she cleaned the wound with rubbing alcohol. 3 years now. Her touch was steady, practiced from patching up her husband after ranch accidents. But this was different, charged like static before a storm. "My husband went quick, heart gave out in the fields." "Sorry to hear that." "And you?" "Kids." Ethan's jaw clenched. "None left around." She wrapped the bandage in tense silence, hyper-aware of his breath warming her cheek, the heat from his body cutting through the chill. When she pulled back, their eyes locked, and an unspoken understanding passed between them, shared isolation, maybe, or a deeper ache. "I've got venison stew," she blurted. "Not fancy, but it'll do." They ate at her scarred oak table, the blizzard raging outside. Rebecca studied him. The deliberate way he ate, eyes always scanning like a man expecting ambush. "What dragged you out of this mess?" she asked. "Chasing an old buddy from the oil rigs down in North Dakota." Ethan set down his spoon, sizing her up in the dim light. "You ever know a Ryan Lawson?" Rebecca's fork clattered against the plate, her face paling. "What did you just say?" "Ryan Lawson, mid-20s, sandy hair, hazel eyes like yours. We crewed together on a fracking site for almost a year." "Ryan," the name escaped as a whisper. "That's my son." Ethan's body tensed. "Your son? He took off 2 years back for the oil boom. Haven't heard a peep since." Her voice cracked. "Is he alive? Last I saw you." "But we split during a rough patch. Company thugs showed up over a pay dispute. I barely escaped." Rebecca's tears flowed, a mix of joy and terror. Without thinking, Ethan reached across and grasped her hand. Her fingers, calloused from ranch work, felt alive in his grip. "I'll track him down," Ethan vowed. "That's why I'm headed north to find Ryan and fix what went wrong." Rebecca gazed at this stranger who'd crossed paths with her boy, who'd braved hell for him, and something inside her fractured not just relief, but a dangerous pull. "The shed's freezing," she said at last. "Stay by the hearth." Ethan nodded, words failing him. He'd been dodging shadows for months, outrunning debts and enemies. But here, in this cozy farmhouse with this resilient, heartbroken woman, he tasted peace for the first time in years. As Rebecca climbed the stairs to her loft, Ethan unrolled his sleeping bag by the fire. Upstairs, he heard her settling in. When the noises stopped, he stared at the rafters, wrestling with forbidden thoughts. What kind of guy lusted after his buddy's mom? The kind starved for connection. The kind who saw his own emptiness mirrored in her eyes. Rebecca stirred before sunrise, as she had every day for 3 years. But today, there was another rhythm, his steady breathing. She descended quietly and found Ethan by the embers, dressed and brooding. "Rough night?" she asked. "Not much for sleep lately." She brewed coffee in the pale dawn, eyeing his rugged profile, chiseled features that promised to weather well, if fate allowed. "Tell me about Ryan," she urged. Ethan's expression softened. "He bragged on you nonstop. Said his mom was the toughest rancher in Montana, that he'd strike it big and come back to ease her load." "Silly kid," she smiled faintly. "He doesn't need to baby me. I just want him home." That's what I said. But he's ashamed the job tanked. We lost our stake in that fight. He figures he let you down. Rebecca's hand covered her mouth. "Oh, Ryan. He's stubborn, like his old man." Their eyes met, the air thick with unspoken parallels. She saw echoes of Ryan in Ethan's tales, eager, idealistic, but Ethan was forged harder, scarred by choices he couldn't undo. "Why are you really hunting him?" she pressed. Ethan's jaw tightened. "My mess pulled him in. Bad deals from my past guys I owed caught up. Ryan got tangled for no reason." "What past?" "The kind that buries folks." Rebecca poured coffee, their fingers brushing, sending a jolt through her. "You're in trouble now." "Always." "Then why stop here? Why not keep driving?" Ethan held her gaze. "Ryan made me promise if things went south, tell his mom he loved her. And I had to meet the woman who raised a stand-up guy like him." The words hung heavy. Rebecca flushed, her heart racing. This was insane. He was her son's age, his friend. "But that look. Let me check that bandage," she murmured. Ethan unbuttoned his shirt, revealing that scarred chest again, taut with restrained strength. The wound was mending, but she lingered. "Rebecca," he whispered, "we shouldn't." Yet when his hands cupped her face, she didn't pull away. "I know it's wrong." "Then why?" "Because I've been numb for years, and you wake me up." She could smell hem leather, earth, pure masculinity, feel his warmth pulling her in. He leaned down. She met him halfway. The kiss started soft, exploratory, then surged with pent-up need. Years of solitude fueled it, his hands in her hair, her body pressing close, hearts pounding in sync. They broke apart, gasping. "This is nuts," she breathed. "Nuts," he echoed, forehead against hers. Outside, the wind whipped fresh, snow another day trapped. Rebecca searched his eyes and chose recklessness. "Storm's worsening." "Seems so. You might be stuck a while." "Might." She turned to the stove, pausing. "Ethan." "Yeah. I'm glad you're here." He watched her, this woman thawing his frozen soul with one kiss. Ryan's mom, his closest pal's mother to one he was tumoring for, fast and hard. This could ruin them. By dusk, snow blanketed everything. The barn vanished in white. Trapped, the tension simmered all day in fleeting touches, loaded glances, talks veering too close to the edge. Rebecca slipped into a fresh blouse that hugged her figure, drawing Ethan's hungry stare. She was striking, not in a flashy way, but with the quiet power of a survivor who'd loved deeply and endured. "Found this," she said, uncorking a dusty bottle of bourbon. "Been saving it for?" "Hell, I don't know." They huddled by the fire, sharing swigs, liquor loosening barriers. "Tell me about your husband," Ethan prompted. Rebecca's smile turned bittersweet. "Tom was solid, dependable, safe." She sipped. "Nothing like you." "That a knock?" "Not sure yet." Ethan eyed her in the glow. "Ever wonder if you'd pick differently? Someone who'd shake things up, show you more than this ranch. The type who'd get me in over my head. Maybe. Or the type who'd make you feel electric." Rebecca's pulse quickened. "I was content with Tom." "Content," Ethan said. "Not the same as alive." They inched closer, bourbon fueling boldness. She saw his next vein throb, inhaled his scent. "You," she asked, "ever tie the knot?" "Once." She passed car wreck. I'm sorry. Ancient history before I turned into this. He waved at himself. A drifter who wrecks lives. Rebecca faced him squarely. Is that what you're doing to me? Or not? Ethan Blake, she said firmly, despite the buzz. I've been a ghost for 3 years. If this is wrecking, sign me up. His restraint shattered. He drew her in, the kiss fierce now, desperate. Hands roamed hers over his chest, his tracing her curves. He scooped her up, carrying her to the bed untouched since Tom. No protests. What followed was raw and reverent. Ethan cherishing her like a lifeline, Rebecca responding with reborn fire. They tangled by firelight, murmuring secrets, losing themselves in waves of pleasure and release. Afterward, entwined and spent, Ethan whispered, "Damn." Rebecca trailed fingers on his skin. We're doomed for this. Probably. Ryan hate us. So why no regrets? He held her tighter. Because feeling alive trumps being perfect. They went again, slower, savoring every gasp, every caress, as embers faded. At first light, Ethan dressed while Rebecca watched from bed, etching him into memory. Storms lifted, he said, avoiding her eyes. I know. Gotta hit the road. I get it. He turned, pain etched deep. Rebecca, I don't. She sat up, sheet clutched. No vows. Don't complicate it. He perched on a mattress, stroking her cheek. I'll find Ryan. Bring him back if possible. And if not, he'll know his mom's love runs deep. Tears welled as she nodded. Ethan Blake drove off as the sun crested the hills, Rebecca at the window until his truck faded into the mist. She touched the pain, his warmth lingering. For months on, a letter arrived not from Ryan, but from a sheriff in Bismarck. Ryan Lawson perished in a rig explosion. Enclosed, a pouch of cash from his final payout and a scrawled note in familiar script. Rebecca, he spoke of you to the end. Said sorry for not making a home. This was his enough to set you right. He loved you. So did I. She clutched it, sobbing for her son, the lost dreams, the drifter who'd stolen her heart then vanished. But no remorse, not for the night, the fire, the ache. For 2 days, she'd burned bright after years dimmed. With Ryan's money, Rebecca sold the ranch, bought a cozy home in Billings. She never remarried, but she thrived volunteering, traveling, embracing life. On crisp nights, she'd recall gray eyes, strong arms, bourbon's tang on his lips. Wonder if Ethan still roamed, evading his ghosts. She never heard from him again, but that flame? It kept her warm. What do you think, would you have let Ethan in, knowing the risks? Or walked away from that spark? Drop your take in the comments below. Share your stance. Is forbidden passion worth a fallout? Let's debate.